floor. Boom, 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 ba-da-da-da-da-da. It's in A, just like our Stevie Ray song. So we're going to try a couple different approaches to play literally the same series of notes in the same octave. The one that's most intuitive for you is to approach it like we're playing a major scale, but the scale we're actually playing is Mixolydian. And let's check this out, because it's just a major scale, but usually, and this sounds like it's about to be really heady material, it's not. When we're playing blues, one of the notes that screams, I'm blues, is this minor seventh, as opposed to do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Instead of the regular seventh, the flat seventh, which is this note, on this string, as in when we went in the previous song, this note right here, as opposed to, we could never go like, it wouldn't sound like blues. So, and the good news is that this is your same major scale hand movement, but even easier, because the new note we're adding is at this fret, so it's just like something you might have done by accident when you were learning this scale. So I'm just going 5th fret, 7th fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, 7th fret, and the same exact hand movement again. And that gives us that note. So it sounds like the major scale, but it's just got that flat 7th in there. And that's how Mixolydian sounds. It's a name for I'm playing the major scale, but I'm putting in a flat 7th instead of a regular 7th. So again, that sounds like way more complicated than it actually is. You're used to, and there's the regular 7th, so we're just talking about 1 fret back, and it's the same hand movement to do it that way, meaning it's like literally just, index, middle, pinky, index, middle, pinky. So let's think of that as our scale, and you can pretty much always think of that as you're going off in a major key blues scale, because the 7th is never going to sound right to do the. So there we go. There's a new tool and a new thing we're aware of, that being flat 7 versus regular 7. So there we go. I'll write that down at the bottom of the page, and you can see it's super easy. And I do encourage you to try that in your other improvisation context. It's going to work really well for what to do other than play blues riffs, as opposed to these major scale riffs. You'll notice they often skip the 7th entirely and just go like, or something. So yeah, when we put in that one rather than, it really does keep sounding like the blues, because those are the intervals that scream I'm blues and rock. A 7th, a flat 7th. Not. Either way, there we go. And we've got, excuse me, or, and those are all really mentioned. So, first just stop, get good at one of them, get good at the other one, get good at the other one. Pretend the rhythm concept doesn't exist, or if you need to play it in rhythm, here's the suggested tempo. And try to plan out what finger you're going to start the ba-da-da-da on. Whichever seems more intuitive to you, so that it's efficient. So there they were. And then to play the 4 chord and the 5 chord like you were messing around with during the lesson, it'll just be the exact same hand movement, starting on D and then starting on E. So that'll be our initial version, would be, But we can also, like we talked about during the lesson, when we get to the 5 chord, when we're playing the blues in A, it's often a really good opportunity to go down here and get some of those deeper notes. If piano is framed very C, guitar is framed very E. So yeah, getting down here is a good way to approach that. So that's what I would do if I was playing this song. If I had to pick one approach, I'd just be like, so there there you go. And just, bang through that whole thing. I'm just playing at a tempo right now because I can. I would suggest a lot more slowly. And then our more interesting exercise, the version I was just doing that's more intuitive for me, is just go index, 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 and that keeps us in a place where we could just play blues riffs. So secondary assignment's going to be to go and then try to play any of the riffs from Life by the Drop. It doesn't even matter if it sounds like a complete riff. Just exploring why would I go like this. Or you could even just be like, even just to show yourself what we're after there. I just went down the min pentatonic. Because really visual, that's the point of what we're doing with this strong finger blues. Considering an approach for being on middle finger orientation, and an approach for being on index finger orientation, and an approach that's kind of both. So there we go. That's what we're up to. Again, here's how the major scale sounds. Here's how Mixolydian sounds. They're nearly identical, but those are not the same note. If I go, there it is, flat 7. And it looks like that. Not directly beneath it, but another string beneath it. Same fret, like that. Like in 7th chords on guitar, that we get that same flat 7th in there. Whereas when we're playing major 7 chords, there's no way to make a major 7 chord sound like blues. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what's happening in major 7 chords, like where you play C and take your first finger off, for instance. That'll never sound bluesy. And that's the sound of a flat 7th. Whereas when we play, a regular 7th, as opposed to when we play C7, that's got that flat 7th screaming right there. And I can do that on guitar if you were confused by what I just said at all. Again, concept is just, moving towards being able to actually hear the difference between flat 7th and regular 7th. So what I was just talking about is like, here's a C chord. And if I do this, that one that we've all done at some point, that's the sound of a regular 7th. So, it's still recording. Does not sound like the blues. Whereas when we do our C7 chord, there's that same flat 7 relationship. Yeah, anyway, there we are. So those notes we're just exactly, that's what we've just been discussing, is the same difference between a major 7 chord and a regular 7th chord is the same difference between Mixolydian versus the major scale. That's what we're discussing right now. Putting in the so there we are. And there we are. They sound distinctly different, and there's our first interval awareness. It's like, hey, a flat 7th sounds like that, and actually trying to internalize it, not just be aware of it conceptually. Cool. There you go.